All right, everybody, it is 7 o'clock. Mayor Don Gary cannot make the meeting tonight. Therefore, as Mayor Pro Tem, I'll be sitting in to run the meeting. So I call this meeting of the September 16th meeting of the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission to order. Deputy City Manager Robin Troyer, may we have a roll call, please, but not until I bang the gavel to start the meeting. Go.
Thank you. Just for the record, Mayor Gary, Mayor Pro Tem Bauer,
Here.
Commissioner Baspis Rath,
Here.
Commissioner Gage,
Here.
Commissioner Habusta,
Here.
Commissioner Marble,
Here.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Here.
All right, those of us who are able to stand, please do for the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, I can't. But does anyone want to make a motion to excuse the mayor?
So moved. Support.
All right, the motion is moved and supported. May we have a vote on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, City Manager. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you don't mind, I'm going to do this next segment standing up. But tonight, we honor Lieutenant Jason Karstens, who unexpectedly passed away on September 8th, as most of you know. A 2001 graduate of Lake Superior State University, Jason Karstens provided 23 years of service to the city of Sault Ste. Marie as a firefighter paramedic and as a fire investigator. As a fire investigator, Jason assisted all agencies within the county and was recognized by many for his professionalism and attention to detail. As a community, we are all stunned by the loss of Jason. Jason not only provided exceptional service to the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie, but he was a solid ambassador for the community as well. As a charter captain, Jason showcased the community's best assets to countless families and provided them with a world-class fishing experience. Jason leaves behind his wife, Emily, and his two daughters, Bryn and Mia. Jason will greatly be missed by all of us at Sioux Fire and the entire community. At this time, I would ask everyone to please stand silently for a moment of reflection and respect. Thank you. Let's move on to the notice of public comment. Is there anyone here who would like or need to comment on any of the agenda items this evening? Great. Moving on to the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Troyer, go right ahead.
Thank you. Under the consent agenda, 1, approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of September 3rd. Item 2, acceptance of the Economic Development Corporation, Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and Tax Increment Finance Authority 3 meeting minutes of August 13th. Item 3, acceptance of the Local Development Finance Authority meeting minutes of June 27th. Item 4, approval of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting minutes of May 28th. Item 5 is resignation of Terry Wolski from the Airport Advisory Board. Item 6 is reappointment of Lindsay Koskina to the Parks and Recreation Board for a term to expire July 1, 2027. Item 7 is resignation of Steve Menta from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Item 8 is consideration of a bid increase for the purchase of a police detective vehicle. Item 9 is consideration of Conica rental agreement with National Office Products. Item 10 is consideration of allocation from Seal Operating Fund for the purchase of portable pickleball equipment. Item 11 is consideration to apply for 2% funding request for transporting ambulance. Item 12 is consideration of Smart Zone lease agreement with the Economic Development Corporation. Item 13 is approval of Smart Zone lease agreement with Osprey Technology LLC. Item 14 is approval of Smart Zone lease agreement with I2P LLC. And item 15 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Is there anyone on the commission that sees any reason why we need to remove anything from the consent agenda this evening? Commissioner Gage.
I want to briefly just say I'm sad to see Terry Walski go from the Airport Advisory Board. She's done an amazing job on that board, and she's been a great asset to our community. But then to pull item number 6, because not only is Ms. Koskinoya a wonderful citizen of our community, extremely beautiful, but she happens to be my wife, and so I probably need to abstain from voting to reappoint her to the Parks and Rec Board.
All right. Anyone else have to pull anything else from this consent agenda this evening? Commissioner Rubenstein.
I just have a clarity question on item number 10 for the city manager, if that's all right.
By all means.
So can you just provide a little clarity on in reading the minutes from the meeting, just the rental of the building for the pickleball courts and picking up of a key and just, I guess, some of the logistics behind that? I saw that once security cameras get set up, there's possibility for more open drop-in times, but yeah, just some clarity around who's the access process.
The access process. Tyler, you want to handle that? Can you do that?
Good evening. Just the hourly rental rate for Canes as per the user fees.
Not necessarily that, but the process of like getting a key for the groups that are playing pickleball.
It would be the same as when they call and rent for ice in the fall or in the winter. Just call the customer service reps. They have the keys to the building. They can schedule their time, pick up a key from City Hall. Then there's a drop box on the outside of the building to leave your key when you're done.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything further? Commissioner Habusta.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just clarity again on items number 12, 13, and 14. Each of those is a lease agreement. Each of those lease agreements ends, I believe, September 30th. So just kind of clarity, why are we signing leases at the tail end of them rather than at the beginning of them? Just trying to understand that process.
I think the process, some of these drag on a little bit longer than what we anticipate, so it's just more of a catch-up thing. I know Bryn will have a follow-up one for the EDC at the next meeting, and I would assume the other ones as well. Some of these just take longer for her to get them. They have to submit insurance requirements and all that stuff, and it just takes some time before she gets them on there. Some are quick, some are not quick, but we just throw them on there. Technically, we believe that I could just authorize these anyways, because the dollar amount is pretty small, but we bring them to the commission just as an FYI and for approval as well. So Bryn's already working on any kind of successor ones. She was asking about it. I almost said yesterday, this morning, today.
Anything else?
Yeah, just quickly to follow up, if I may be so obliged. So have these leases been paying rent without a contract?
Correct. They even continue to pay rent, yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anyone else? All right, do we have a motion? Commissioner Marble.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Support.
We have a motion and support,
Minus number 6.
minus number 6. Yes, sorry. Minus number 6, 1 through 5, and 7 through 14. Wait.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's move on. There are no special orders of business tonight.
Go back.
Oh, we gotta do
back
number
to
6 yet, too.
Oh, yeah, we gotta go back and do number 6. My apologies. Let's have a vote then, sans Commissioner Gage, on the reappointment of Lindsay Koskinoya to the Parks and Rec Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2027. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Rubenstein, or is there a second?
Support.
There is support by Commissioner Bospis, excuse me. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And, yeah, there are no special orders of business tonight. Communications from KMG Prestige, the Annex Apartments.
So we're here, I came in tonight to present to you information about the annex, which is actually located at 300 Court Street in the old county annex building, or as everybody local calls it, the Polyclinic. We are a market rate community, not an affordable. It is, so the rents are higher on that. They're at that market rate rent of $1,550 to $1,600 for a 2-bedroom, and $1,200 and $1,250 for a 1-bedroom apartment. So we just wanted to present that information so that it's known to the city commission and if anybody knows anybody. We are looking at housing people with income limits above the 60% AMI to 120% AMI. So for a household of 1, they've got to be between $34,020 to $68,040. And a household of 2 is $38,880 to $77,760. So,
Any questions? Commissioner Gage.
My only questions are just how many units do you have and then kind of what the sizes are, just to kind of get a sense for it.
so we have 11 units, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, and they do vary. So we do have 4 2-bedroom and the rest are 1-bedroom apartments in that community. They're all very unique and different. None of them are all the same. We've got sliding barn doors, ensuite bathrooms, and walk-in closets in there. Our target income range does fall into categories for some of our incoming police officers that we may be recruiting for the area, teachers, medical professions. We've got a few Coast Guard that have applied as well because they're over those income limits for most of our other income restricted communities that are in the area.
And just to follow up, I just want to say thank you for certainly investing in our community and taking a building that could have sat vacant, turning into something else, and investing into our downtown area, helping with the population density. Just, it's really appreciated.
Well, we're the management company, but the ownership, which is that same ownership as Garfield Landing, is very much interested in investing more and having more apartment communities in the area. So.
Thank you.
That's great. Anyone else with a comment or a question? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
G, business items, consideration of police officers' labor council, police records collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Up first for commission consideration tonight is ratification of the attached updated CBA. City staff and I met with the police records unit over the course of a few months, and we've updated the CBA. For the most part, the CBA remains the same. Wage increases are expected to be 4% and 4% for the next 2 years. It is a 2-year contract, and we look for motion to approve the contract as presented.
Are there any questions or a motion? Commissioner Bospis Rath, please.
I'd like to make the motion if no one has questions. All right.
Go right ahead.
Motion to authorize the city manager to execute the collective bargaining agreement between the city of Sault Ste. Marie and Police Officers Labor Council, Police Records.
Support.
So moved by Commissioner Bospis Rath and seconded by Commissioner Marble. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I guess I should be saying aye for these. So count me in. All right, number 2, consideration to authorize the purchase of security cameras for the Parks Department. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a request to purchase 5 security cameras through a joint bid contract through REMC Save. With this item, there's 2 motions. The first motion is to redesignate a former project for the camera project. There's about $50,000 in the budget. It was originally going to be used for a floor study at the Polar. At the time, it made sense, but after we kind of looked at the floor, it didn't really make too much sense. So we have a motion here to reappropriate the funds from the Polar study to the park security cameras. The purchase themselves are coming from Verkada Security. These were the cameras that we demoed a month or so ago. They've got a lot of nice bells and whistles that other vendors didn't have. So we're looking to purchase 5 at this time as we move forward. Seeing any other issues that may come up, we'll utilize this contract and the budget that's set aside for it to purchase more cameras. So initial actions: buy 5 cameras for the Malcolm Park Ball Field Complex, splash pad area, and Project Playground. Just as a side note, we do have 2 other cameras that are up. I believe they're both at the ski chalet, or just one? Both. Both are at the ski chalet. So we would look for a motion to put the $50,000 towards this project, and a motion to authorize the purchase for the cameras through the REMC bid save contract.
Questions or comments? Commissioner Bosquez-Rath.
Just a quick comment. I am very excited to see that this is going through. Unfortunately, it seems that they're needed with the uptick in vandalism, and hopefully this will kibosh that, so they say. So very excited. I hope we get some more for our other park areas.
I share your excitement. Anybody else? Commissioner Habusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I have a question regarding the budget and the budget source switching during our budget hearings prior to approval of the budget. We were told that the money was there. I guess my question was, why didn't we not do it at that time, move the budget?
This was the money that we were referring to, so the money was there. I believe during those sessions, we said we were going to take an old project that we weren't going to do anymore and reallocate it towards these. The reason why we didn't do it then was because we didn't have any specs or an understanding of what the cost would be yet.
Okay, I guess I would urge that we look at, making sure we do those during budgeting time if we know that where the budget's coming from. The second question I have would simply be this, in regards to, clearly there's some remainder of funds and clearly there's more parks to be covered. What is the time frame to cover the rest of those parks, or consideration for the rest of those parks as far as cameras?
So I believe these ones are going to be easy out the gate because they have the internet in the area that we need to tap into, correct?
These ones have their own internet.
Yes.
We have to put the internet here.
Right.
The other areas, we just need to expand on the internet from the water treatment plant, so we can a little cheaper. We won't need to buy the internet gateways. We'll be expanding the internet from the plant down in Sherwood Park.
So do we have a time frame on that process and those cameras?
We'll get these ones up probably yet this fall after they come in. Hardware was 80 to 90 days out, getting stuff in and then utilize them, possibly more of next year.
Any more comments, questions, or a motion? Commissioner Rubenstein.
I'm assuming there's associated signage that'll be going up saying you're being watched or something to go along with these?
What, Big Brother lives here?
I mean,
I mean,
honestly,
the signs sometimes are more of a deterrent than the cameras themselves.
honestly, not really. I mean, to litter the properties with signs that says you're being watched, and whether it's accurate or not, I mean, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary. That wasn't part of our plan. It wasn't part of our discussions. We don't really feel it's necessary, no.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion? Commissioner Abusto.
I'm sorry, I just want to follow up, because one of the things that was said was that possibly next year we'd have cameras put up at the remaining parks. One of the things that we discussed in budget time was that we would have cameras at our parks. So I just want to urge again the need to make sure all our parks are covered properly with surveillance as is fit. So I just want to extend that I think it's important that we get this done as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Commissioner Bosbus Rath,
I'd like to make a motion if you.
please do.
Motion to return the 50,000 budget from the Polar Concrete rink floor project and establish a budget for park security camera project for the same amount.
Let's
Support.
specify dollars on that.
Specify that.
50,000.
Support.
Dollars, not drachma. That was my whole point. All right, we have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Let's have the second motion, please.
Motion to authorize the purchase of Verkada security hardware through the cooperative bid REMC SAVE contract in the amount of $14,346.15 from Heartland Business Systems.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bosbus Rath and supported by Commissioner Marble. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on, consideration of bid award for the purchase of a dump trailer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a request to purchase a dump trailer from Gaylord Thompson in the amount of $12,499. This was an item that was planned out in the CIP with $20,000 being set aside. We bid the item out, received 5 bids back. Low bid and acceptable bid being the Gaylord Thompson for a little over $12,000. So we would look for a motion to award the bid to Gaylord Thompson Sales and Service for the purchase of one dump trailer at the cost of $12,499.
And that's well under the allotted amount, so that's great. Any questions? Who would like to make the motion? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Motion to award bid to Gaylord Thompson Sales and Service for the purchase on one dump trailer at a cost of $12,499 to be used at the wastewater treatment plant for biosolids handling.
Support.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rubenstein, supported by Commissioner Bosbus Rath. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, consideration of bid award for the purchase of a steam generator trailer for the Water and Sewer Department. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a request to purchase a steam generator trailer for the Water and Sewer Department. Kind of long story short on these ones, this is a unit that would go out in the community during the winter months and unthaw any lines that may be frozen. There are certain areas within the city where the water and sewer lines aren't buried deep enough. They're pretty shallow. And if we have a very cold winter with not a lot of snow on top of it, the pipes will freeze. It's part of our let run process. We didn't have to do that too much last year because we never had a really cold winter. But there have been years where we've had a lot of freeze ups that we've had to address. Prior to using the steam equipment, this will be our first one we've had, we actually used to use a piece of equipment that electrified the sewers, the lines, and melted it through heat that way. But we're getting away from that for a variety of safety and legal reasons. So, we bid this out. We have one bid that came back through Sioux Corporation, not located here in Sioux, Michigan. We would make two motions in this one. Motion to approve the purchase of the model SF-20 steam generating trailer from Sioux Corporation, as well as a motion to increase the budget by $6,300, as this one did just come in just a little bit higher than what we anticipated.
Who taught these people how to spell Sioux? Are there any questions? We have two recommended actions. Any questions at all? Commissioner Gage.
I move to approve the purchase of a model SF-20 steam generating trailer from Sioux Corporation.
It's not a question, but all right.
Support.
I'll allow it. We have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Continue.
I further move to increase the budget by $6,300 in water with the funding to come from the water capital reserves.
Support.
All right, moved by Commissioner Gage, supported by Commissioner Bosbus Rath. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, consideration of the bid award for lead service line replacements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a request to award a bid, getting stuck. Award a bid to Superior Plumbing Services or Solutions to assist us in our lead service line replacement program. The city has to take action on any lead service line connections throughout the city. We have 10 years to replace the majority of those connections. We don't have any known lead connections, but there's a lot of galvanized goosenecks and miscellaneous components. So those do have the potential to give a high lead reading on some of the water samples, so we do have to replace those. So staff of the water department bid this out. We received 4 bids back. The low bid and most acceptable bid is from Superior Plumbing Solutions. The bid's going to include plumbing services, excavation services, as well as any permits that we need for the plumbing to be replaced. So we look for a motion to award the bid to Superior Plumbing Services Solutions for lead service line replacements.
Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Busta.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I think I'm reading it right, but can you just explain the fiscal impact, how it will be tracked and whatnot, the budget?
So we have, in the CIP program, we're putting in about $25,000 every year. That should knock out about 14 of them, and that's kind of our target for every year. So what we'll do is every year we'll have that $25,000 kind of budgeted out. We'll use the contractors up until the $25,000 is spent. We'll take a pause, wait for the funds to replenish in the next budget, and keep moving forward that way. So we've got 10 years to accomplish the goal, and it's gonna come out to be about 14 every year. And I guess on the tracking side of it, it's set up as a project with the accounting system. So the $25,000 kind of set off on the side. Any invoice is gonna come in, knock off that 25 until it's zeroed out.
Thank you.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Habusta.
Motion to award contracted services to Superior Plumbing Solutions for lead service line replacements.
Support.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Up next, consideration to contract award for engineering services for MDOT Safety Grant for West Easterday and Meridian intersection pedestrian and traffic light improvements. City Manager.
Quite the title. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Up next.
It is what it is.
Up next for up next for commission consideration is a request to award a bid to Rowe Engineering in the amount of $59,890 for engineering services related to the West Easterday Meridian intersection pedestrian and traffic light improvement project. So in the agenda item, it kind of goes through our process here. We had several bids from 3 different firms. We've selected Rowe based on how they scored in that process. Rowe's not necessarily the lowest bid. I think their bid is about $327 over the lowest one, but we kind of feel it's a de minimis amount, and Rowe will be able to give us kind of the project that we're looking for based on their experience and knowledge within the city. So we're looking to award the contract to Rowe. 2 motions with this one: motion to award the bid to Rowe, and as well as motion to designate road contingency funds the amount of $88,000 towards the 2025 pedestrian crossings project.
All right, we have 2 recommended actions before us. Does anyone have a question or a comment? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Just a brief comment. I drive by this stretch every single day, multiple times a day, so I'm happy to see this happening. I think it'll be really good to have.
Absolutely. Would you like to make the motion then?
I would love to. Motion to award bid to Rowe in the amount of $59,890.45 for engineering services for the West Easterday and Meridian intersection pedestrian and traffic light improvements project, and approve city manager to sign a professional services contract for this work.
Support.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Rubenstein, supported by Commissioner Marble. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You want to continue?
Motion to designate road contingency funds in the amount of $88,000 towards the 2025 pedestrian crossing project.
Support.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Rubenstein, seconded by Commissioner Marble. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to number 7, consideration of a construction contract for Clean Water State Revolving Fund wastewater treatment plant improvements Phase 1 and Peck Meridian improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a request to award 2 contracts for projects related to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, as well as approval of a change order for one. This is kind of the final step in this process. So the commission will recall, a few months ago, we brought drafts of these contracts to the commission for pre-approval, which was then sent to the state for their approval, then to be followed up with our approval. So scope of the work that we've been talking about between the wastewater treatment plant as well as the Peck and Meridian area hasn't necessarily changed. Our funding is all coming in, the bond documents, everything has been secured and signed. So this is kind of the last step. Once we approve this one, the wastewater treatment plant upgrade is going to be off and running, and the upgrades to the Peck and Meridian area will start out next spring during the next construction season. So 3 motions here. Motion to award the bid, or motion to award the contract to Marion Construction Company in the amount of $27,856,944. Motion to approve change order number 1 for Marion Construction Company in the amount of negative $3,847,522, as well as a motion to award construction contract to Baco Construction Company in the amount of $8,521,086. If the commission would like, I would say you can make a motion to approve all 3 motions as presented, unless you want to make all 3. Dealer's
All right.
choice.
Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, who wants to spend a lot of money? Oh, go, by all means.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Just so there's an additional 2.9 million coming through non-participating through another capital improvement bond. Is that where that additional 2.9 is coming from?
Correct, and we're holding off on that one. Our bond advisor tells us that interest rates are usually better in January, and since that particular project, the non-participating improvements go along with the Peck and Meridian, it's the water side of that area. That's not gonna start till spring anyways, so there's not a rush to it, so we can wait till January to see if the interest rates go down a little bit more.
It's
Hopefully
the
stay a
after
little bit
Christmas sale on bonds.
Yep.
Commissioner Gage.
Just a follow-up question on that too. I know that, certainly usually when you do work with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund or I know the alternative is the USDA water sewer, that you're able to sometimes take other state sources of state or federal funding and like grants or maybe differently earmarks, CDS, all that kind of stuff, those different opportunities. Certainly, I don't know if we've tried to approach, either the state or the feds to advocate for that, maybe for something like this, or, and if you do, certainly you don't have to go out for bonds, and certainly we have other priorities as well, but I just
So-
didn't know if you'd chased any of those other opportunities for that, or just thoughts.
So in general, the staff will go after any grant that's out there that fits our projects. For the water and sewer side, there's not a lot available anymore, because I think a lot of the funding, and Kirk and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the funding's being pushed into the SRF programs, so it's perpetually going to be there.
Right.
So there's not a lot of grant opportunities to do this type of work. It's all primarily through bonds and loans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if there are opportunities, we do pursue them. We have approached our state legislators as well as our federal legislators for appropriations on those projects. We have not been successful on this side of things.
Tricky to get sometimes, I hear.
But we have. I mean, we do, staff does a very good job at turning over all the socks to find any kind of money that is available. But like I said, on water and sewer stuff, there's just not a lot of grants available. Most of the funding that is either passed through the federal government to the state is being pushed in the SRF, so that pool is kind of being replenished. The nice thing about this time around, we did get a significant amount of principal forgiveness for the programs. I mean, in a way, we kind of got a grant, but it's called principal forgiveness.
No. I always appreciate when you guys try to do everything you can. I just thought I'd ask that since we're here talking about it.
Commissioner Abusta.
Can I just note something on that? I know our team has done a really good job working with My Water Navigator and My Funding Club just to continue to research ways to fund that, so much so that I just shared what our community was doing. So they're doing a great job trying to find all that money they can.
Who wants to roll these into one motion?
I'm your Huckleberry.
Okay, Commissioner Gage, go right ahead.
Motion to award a construction contract to Myron Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $27,856,944 for the wastewater treatment plant improvements Phase 1 and approve city manager to sign.
Support.
I thought we were gonna roll those all into one.
Oh, motion to approve a change order 001 for Myron Construction Inc. for the wastewater treatment improvements Phase 1 in the amount of minus $3,847,522, a reduction for a revised contract amount of $24,009,422, and approve the city manager to sign. And I further move to award a construction contract to Baco Construction Company in the amount of $8,521,086.20 for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, Peck Meridian Improvements, and approve city manager to sign.
Good
Support.
job. And supported by Commissioner Bosbus Rath. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, consideration of a contract with CIB Planning to provide professional services under the Mishta Housing Readiness Incentive Program. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a request to award a contract to CIB Planning for professional services for Housing Readiness Incentive Program in the amount not to exceed $50,000. The commission will recall the last city commission meeting, we brought back the results of the RFQ process, which was recommending moving forward with CIB and entering into negotiations to come up with a contract. This is the approval of that contract. The fiscal impact for us is $50,000, which is the grant dollar amount. The consultant has fit their project to our budget, so we don't anticipate any increases there. The intent of this program is to have consultants come in and look at a variety of different things within operations and within the community to try to find barriers to housing, to find opportunities for housing. It's not necessarily one of those things that they're gonna come in and do a bunch of feel-good group meeting type of things. They're going to be coming out and producing actual recommended policy changes. So they'll be going through the zoning ordinance, possibly making changes there. They'll be reviewing the master plan, possibly making changes there. So anywhere that from our organization that could be a barrier to quality housing in the city, they're gonna review, make recommendations in terms of policies. There will be opportunities for them. They do wanna meet with some realtors and some other people within the community, just so they can get a better lay of the land, but this is gonna be actually something that's gonna produce policy changes that'll come to the commission for consideration.
Nice. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Gage?
Community Development Director Freeman likes this. This is a good thing. He recommends it. Oh, perfect. That's easy enough. Well, then I move to authorize the city manager to enter into an included contract with CIB Planning for professional services under the Mishta Housing Readiness Incentive Program in the amount not to exceed $50,000.
Support.
All right, so moved by Commissioner Gage and I believe seconded by Commissioner Marble. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, consideration of an allocation of cemetery perpetual care funds for the Hickler Mausoleum project to include disinterment and reinterment of human remains and for the demolition of the